videos, narratives, documentaries, press services, and programs on location or outside live broadcasting of mass and other church functions, government or indoor functions, and political medium in large enterprises. All services are offered at competitive prices. Tune in daily to catch Luntha television on Zuko on Channel 51, Starsat Channel 474, Star Times Channel 474, Topstar 474, Kriye 007, GoTV on Channel 807, Azam on Channel 386, and live streams on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. You can find us in Area 2 Lilongwe or can reach us on 0883 815 055. Come, let us help you grow your business. Luntha Derby.
Well, you are watching Luntha television and it's time for news. My name is Helbert Katjanda. First, let's have a look at our top stories. The Catholic Church leader Pope Francis urges the faithful to trust God even in hard times. Parliament passes Regulations Amendment Bill. Anti-Corruption Bureau frees corruption suspect Zoneth Sartar's accounts. And in news from elsewhere, Namibia set for first female president as disputed election count advances. While we have these and more other stories to stay tuned then. The Catholic Church leader, Pope Francis, has encouraged the faithful in Nicaragua to remain firm in their trust in God despite the challenges they face. This is contained in the Pope's pastoral letter to the faithful in the state where people are celebrating the novena of the Immaculate Conception. The Holy Father expressed closeness and solidarity with the people in the state amid the main challenges the nation is facing. We have the details.
Pope Francis appealed to the Nicaraguan faithful to hold fast to their filial trust in God and their faithfulness to the Church, which he described as the two great beacons that illuminate their existence. The Pope's letter comes at a time when many in Nicaragua have experienced uncertainty and hardship, and a socio-political crisis that has struck the Church, leading to the closing of many faith-based organizations and associations, and to the expulsion and the arrest of a number of priests and bishops. Upholding the spiritual strength of Nicaraguan Catholics, rooted in their devotion to Mary, the Pope noted the celebration in the days of the novena of the Immaculate Conception, saying it holds a special place in Nicaraguan culture and faith. As the Church prepares for the Jubilee year of 2025, Pope Francis encouraged the faithful to let their celebration of the Immaculate Conception serve as a source of strength and renewal. The Pope called on them to continue their tradition of surrendering to God with the prayer God first, and he reminded them of the power of prayer, particularly the Rosary, as a tool for spiritual reflection and connection with God. In closing, Pope Francis invoked the intercession of the Virgin Mary and offered a message of hope. The Pope's letter also included a prayer he has written for the Jubilee of 2025, in which he asks the Lord for peace and to rekindle in the faithful pilgrims of hope the longing for heavenly graces.
The Malawi Parliament has passed Bill number 28 of 2024 Energy Regulation Bill with an amendment. The amendment focuses on giving powers to Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority to have full control on license insurance. The bill has been passed despite the opposition party opposing its procedure, saying the current interpretation renders Mera and Nokma powerless. We have the details.
Speaking to Luntha television, Minister of Energy Ibrahim Matola stated that the bill will give the Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority full control over licensing issues and the ability to collect electricity levy. Matola said the passing of the bill will help the country to stabilize some issues and solve fuel and electricity management.
First and foremost is that this bill number 28 of 2024 regulation amendment is giving powers to MERA as a regulator. There were some other nitty-gritty things which were supposed to be looked into, especially that the regulator is the one who gives the license to the licensees. Then there is an issue of electricity levy. So the bill was addressing the issues which were not there, that when there is a need of adjusting the levies, then it can be done in a way which is controlled, regulated by the regulator. By the way, Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority is also a member, an affiliate of RERA, Regional Energy Regulatory Authority. So this bill was addressing some of the challenges which were missing in the bill in terms of the levies.
Making his remarks after the passing of the bill, Democratic Progressive Party Registrar for Machinga Likwenu, Bright Saka, faulted the government of taking advantage of its high numbers pushing for bills that will not benefit Malawians. Saka added that the bill will give powers to the Minister of Energy to procure fuel without any accountability, citing that MERA and National Oil Company of Malawi will be crippled of its powers. The Energy Regulations Amendment Bill has been a topic of discussion for some time, and its passing has been met with mixed reactions. While the government claims that it will benefit the country, the opposition and some registrars have raised concerns about its potential impact. The bill's passing has also raised questions about accountability and the role of MERA and NOCMA in the energy sector, citing that the Minister of Energy will have more control over fuel procurement. For Luntha News, Fales Chizombe.
The Anti-Corruption Bureau says it has given a United Kingdom-based corruption suspect, Zuneth Sartar, access to his bank accounts, which were frozen to pave way for investigations into alleged botched procurement deals his companies had with certain ministries and government departments. Sartar's accounts were stiffened 3 years ago following the launch of an investigation into allegations that he bribed several public and private officials to gain public contract favors. The graft-busting body's acting director of legal and prosecution, Victor Chiwala, has told journalist Henry Longwe during a press conference that the decision was made after their investigations had found that his accounts were not used to receive payments from the Malawi government. We have a report.
Chiwala said the Bureau found that no parent money was deposited to the frozen account. He said these accounts were the ones registered in UK and Dubai, which were also frozen by National Intelligence Agency over similar corruption crimes. Chiwala said besides unfreezing the account, is also in custody of Sartar's other property, worth billions, which if he is found guilty, government would sell as a recovery initiative.
Now, I'll give a brief background to that. When we were investigating the Sada case, the first thing we did was to restrict all accounts linked to Sada. Now, the way we do it.
Reacting to the development, social commentator Victor Chbofya questions the precedents which the development might send to the general public in as far as corruption is concerned.
Issues to do with criminality. Zunat Satar has been one guy who has been on the radar, not just in Malawi, but even the British government, which Malawi happens to be a partner with as a development agent. Now, freeing of his account, does that mean that as a country we are saying it's okay for somebody to do all the wrong things that Zunat Satar may have done? Or is it a question that we're going to raise with our justice system? Because as we're talking right now, Zunat Satar is a free man.
According to Section 23 of the Corruption Practices Act, a restriction order expires after 3 months of its issuance, but the ECB is free to extend the period at its own liberty. Apparently, in September last year, government did not renew the restriction notice.
The Vice President, Dr. Michael Osi, has expressed the need to manage e-waste responsibility to avoid having negative impact on the environment. Dr. Osi made the remarks earlier today in Lilongwe when he launched the newly formulated e-waste management policy with a call for all stakeholders to support its implementation. Tandu Mzumara has more in this report.
The launch of the policy coincided with commemorations marking the International E-Waste Day. Speaking during the event, Usi described the policy as a critical step forward towards creating a sustainable framework for managing e-waste in Malawi. Concurring with Usi, Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Natural Resources, Dr. Yusuf Mkungula, noted that the National E-Waste Management Policy recognizes that everyone has a role to play in the environmentally sound management of e-waste.
So that we raise awareness to different stakeholders and the general public in terms of the importance of managing the e-waste. And secondly, we also come together with stakeholders to ensure that we are able to advocate for manufacturing of relevant and important e-waste.
Meanwhile, a representative from the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA, has expressed commitment in supporting the implementation of the policy.
Each and every technological changes that are happening in the world, we should be able to dispose of. We should have better management ways of ensuring that we are not harming the environment as well as we are not harming the human health in the country.
The policy will be implemented for 5 years. Among others, it seeks to establish a formal, efficient, and environmentally sound e-waste collection and recycling system, promote public awareness and education on the risks of improper e-waste disposal, and enhance regulatory measures to ensure that both local and international stakeholders adhere to safe practices in handling e-waste. For Luntha News, this is Tandi Wemzumara.
You're still watching news on Luntha television, coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. Now we'll be back shortly after the break.
As the world commemorates the 16 days of activism, let us unite to end violence against women and girls in Malawi towards Beijing Plus 30. Together, we can transform cultural and religious norms to break the cycle of gender-based violence, GBV. The Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace, CCJP, under the Episcopal Conference of Malawi, ECM, through the Diocese of Karonga, with support from the NCA-DCA Joint Country Program, is empowering women, girls, men, and community leaders in TA Mwakaoko, Kiungu, and Klipula through Zone Implementation Committee, which is the project main structure in collaboration with male champions, mother groups, chiefs, religious leaders, child protection workers, youth, community victim support unit, health workers, teachers, and others. Let us amplify voices for change, champion the rights of women and girls, and create a future free of gender-based violence. Stand with us in these 16 days of activism as we unite for justice, dignity, and equality for all. The time is now. End gender-based violence. Build a safer Malawi.
Welcome back. Now let's have a look at our top stories once more before we proceed. The Catholic Church leader, Pope Francis, urges the faithful to trust God even in hard times. Parliament passes Regulations Amendment Bill. Anti-Corruption Bureau frees corruption suspect Zoneth Sartar's accounts. And in news from elsewhere, Namibia set for first female president as disputed election count advances. Moving on, the Department of Disaster Management Affairs has reviewed that the onset of the 2024 rain season has brought devastating disasters to Malawi. Heavy rainfall, stormy winds, and lightning have ravaged the country, affecting approximately 10,833 households, which is translating to around 48,748 people. According to DODMA spokesperson Chibiliro Kamula, heavy rainfall was predicted by the Meteorological Department, and its impact has been felt across various parts of the country, resulting in loss of life. Emmanuel Chuocha reports.
The rainy season in Malawi typically runs from October to April, with farmers relying heavily on the rainfall for their agricultural activities. However, this year's rainfall has brought destruction rather than the anticipated blessings. Kamula emphasized the importance of vigilance, urging citizens to stay informed about the weather updates to minimize risks. He also advised against seeking shelter under the trees or tall objects during storms.
Since the onset of the rainy season to Tuesday, 3rd December, disasters, mostly stormy rains, strong winds, hailstorms, heavy rains, and lightning have affected 10,833 households, and these are approximately 48,748 people. Unfortunately, we have recorded 11 deaths, out of which 8 have been caused by lightning strikes, while 3 have been caused by collapsing walls and roofs. We have also recorded a total of 79 injuries, and most of the injuries have been caused by lightning and damaged walls and roofs. In terms of the provision of relief assistance, DOTMA has been reaching out to the affected households with food and non-food items, which include maize, beans, blankets, pails, and plastic sheets for temporary roofing, and this is ongoing. As I've mentioned, lightning has been the main cause of deaths this rainy season, and we reiterate our calls for the general public to pay attention to weather forecasts and postpone all open space activities if the forecasts call for thunderstorms. They should also seek enclosed shelter immediately when caught out in the open, especially during thunderstorms. And at all costs, avoid seeking shelter under trees or taller objects to minimize the risk of being struck by lightning.
The affected populations have received assistance in the forms of food, clothing, buckets, and plastic papers for temporary loafing. DOTMA is working tirelessly to provide relief and support to those impacted by the disasters. The Malawi geography makes it prone to natural disasters, particularly during the rainy season. The country's disaster management efforts are crucial in mitigating the effects of such disasters. As the rainy season continues, Malawians are advised to remain cautious and take necessary precautions to ensure their safety. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
Malawi's accountability institutions are forced to strike a balance between thorough scrutiny and expedition that must be applied into the recruitment of a substantive Anti-Corruption Bureau Director General. National Advocacy Platform, a member of National Anti-Corruption Alliance, Chairperson Benedicto Kondowe made the remarks in reaction to President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera's move to extend ACB Deputy Director Hilary Chilomba's tenure as acting boss for the Bureau. Speaking to Luntha Television, Kondowe commended the President's action, saying it is to ensure that there is no vacuum at the ACB. Robert Edward has filed this report.
With time running to the next year's election mode, corruption incidents and allegations may become imminent, making Anti-Corruption Bureau to have no option but sharpen its teeth for a bite. But its boss is still in the acting capacity, following President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera's reappointment of the Bureau's Deputy Chief Hilary Chilomba as Acting Director General. Following a recruitment process of the boss, the President's move, Chairperson of National Advocacy Platform, a member of National Anti-Corruption Alliance, Benedicto Kondowe, hopes the extension of Chilomba's acting mandate will not be used by the team facilitating the substantive recruitment, including the Ombudsman, to delay the process. He tells Luntha Television that all the individuals, including the President and the accountability institutions, must understand the implications of delaying the recruitment as the country is going towards elections.
Is that this seeks to ensure that there is no vacuum in the office of the Director General in the interim, considering that the recruitment process is still ongoing, which meant that if that extension was not made, then the duties of the office of the Director General could have been greatly impaired. So it is in a way to make sure that there's continuity of the function of that office. But that said, our immediate call is for the President and the team that is leading in the recruitment process to make sure that the process is concluded as soon as possible, so that we have a substantive Director General. Our continued, the existence of the acting Director General does not do us good because in some instances, mandate may be compromised, may be overlooked, may be undermined, as it were. So I think it is important that we have a substantive Director General in place as soon as possible. We hope that the current the engagement by the President will not serve as a tool to make sure that the Deputy Director General sits in that office for long.
The office went vacant in May after former Chief of the Bureau, Martha Jizuma, left the office upon expiry of her contract, which was marred by persistent drama and a big fish arrest. For Luntha, this is Robert Edward.
Christians Action in Relief and Development CARD has launched El Nino Emergency Response Project at Traditional Authority Mkaya in Balaka District. Speaking during the launch, CARD Executive Director Melton Luhanga has asked beneficiaries to use 90,000 kwacha that each household will receive for intended purpose. He said each household among the 1,700 households will be receiving from November 20.
On 23 March this year, President Lazarus Chakwera declared Malawi as a state of national emergency disaster, asking donors, development partners, and people of goodwill to assist. Responding to the plea, Churches Action in Relief and Development, CARD, under ACT Alliance, received a grant of 938 million kwacha from Canadian Food Grain Bank and Presbyterian World and Development to respond to the emergency. Luhanga said he is optimistic that the 5 months El Nino Emergency Response Project will help people of Traditional Authority Mkaya, Sub-Traditional Pimbi, and Mgoma to buy 50 kgs of maize, 5 kgs of beans, and 2 liters of cooking oil.
Today we are launching this emergency response program in response to the El Nino disaster that we had in this country. So as CARD, we requested our colleagues from Canadian Food Grains and the Presbyterian World Service and Development, who granted us an amount of 938 million kwacha that will use as food aid through cash transfer modality to 1,700 households in Tie Nkaya in Balaka District.
Speaking on behalf of the beneficiaries, a 51-year-old Loveness Haji, who is visually impaired, thanked the CARD for the timely assistance, saying in times of disasters, people with disabilities are the most hit since they cannot search food for themselves. Haji asked other well-wishers to support them to ease the harsh reality of the El Nino and other natural disasters.
Ineru ndikadakonda kuti thandizo limeneli linakafikira anthu ambiri awu mali. Chifukwa ife anthu awu mali timakhala tikusalirira, timasalidwa zambiri zoti zopanga zolandira mizimu. Timasalidwa. Apapa ndikungothokoza bungwe la CARD chifukwa cholimbikitsa chobweretsa kuwaonesera anthu akunoko kuti ife anthu olumala akuyenera kumatitenga nafenso tizikhala nawo pachina chilichonse chochitika. Apapa pasachitsanzo amafumu akunoko.
Traditional Authority Mkaya bemoaned that some women in his area have resorted to prostitution to get food since the mangoes they were eating have finished.
Vurulanga mbali kwambiri kunoko munga ajizimayi ama lowa kangalo hule kumasichulanga chawe ya kuma njala imasausa. Then ngono kuti abunga la CARD zimezi apanga kwa miezi 5 nukuba kuti munkhani ya hule azimayi ilekeka kwa mena upeka 90,000 ni kuti perepo apeka thumbala chimanganizi na zofunikanga mafuta nizo zofunika choncho.
Balaka district was among the districts that were hit most by Cyclone Freddy as well as El Nino, and it is estimated that about 51,000 households are in need of food.
And now in news from elsewhere, Namibia appears set to get its first female president, with Netumbo Nandi holding a healthy lead as the count from last week's disputed election proceeds. With 65.57% of the votes counted, results are released early on Tuesday. on the Election Commission's portal showed governing party candidates Nandi 72 leading the race with 54.82% of the votes. We have an Al Jazeera report.
Results were initially expected a few days after the November 27th poll, but voting was extended by 3 days at several polling stations following technical difficulties and ballot paper shortages. The main opposition Independent Patriots for Change, whose candidate Pandulaini Itula trails with 28%, has already rejected the election as a sham. The Electoral Commission said votes counted so far are for 79 of 121 constituencies, including all but 2 in the capital, Windhoek. Of the nearly 1.5 million registered voters, 73% cast ballots. Currently, Vice President Nandi Ndaitwah of the Southwest Africa People's Organization SWAPO could be forced into a second round runoff vote if she does not claim more than 50% of votes when all results are in later this week. Namibians vote separately for members of the National Assembly, and with the 66.4% of the votes tallied, SWAPO led the ballot with 56.38%. Independent Patriots for Change was running at 19.23%. Results were initially expected a few days after the November 27th poll, but voting was extended to November 29th and November 13th at several polling stations after some voters were unable to cast their ballots on election day due to technical difficulties. Logistical and technical problems, including a shortage of ballot papers, led to long queues that meant some voters